That is it. On one side, positive side, things are starting to turn around. On the other side,
Whew.
oh Lord,
Whew.
what's going on with y'all, man?
My
What's going
goodness.
on? The Clippers are off to a rough start now with Harden in the building. They lost
Yeah.
yet again to the Mavs last night in the NCAA tournament. As Luka continues to dominate this Clippers squad. And yeah, it's looking like things. It's just a shaky start for the Harden Clippers now with him in the mix there. What are your first thoughts on what's going on with them? Are they still a championship caliber team as currently constructed in your eyes with Harden there?
Yeah. First impressions, like we have a problem here. James Harden, of course we all heard the I'm not a system player, I am a system, or whatever his quote was. Harden's system hasn't quite worked yet for the Clippers. He himself has like played okay, like he's shot efficiently, like he's distributed a little bit. Seems like he's trying to figure out like when to pick his spots because he's not taking a whole lot of shots either. But it's thrown off the other guys clearly. Like Paul George has been shooting really, really inefficiently since Harden's been there, and he was playing at a great pace before. Russ, of course, is like taking off the ball a bit, so that like takes away a little bit of their pace and flow as far as they were a pretty big like transition game team, and Harden slows the game down just a little bit. And then on the defensive end, Harden's been rough to watch a bit. Like it's a lot of standing around and kind of falling asleep on help side defense. Like a little bit of what was that year? It was probably with the Rockets where he was just known as being a negative as a defender, like game in, game out. And I've seen some of that in watching some of their games since he's joined. They've had like good stretches of good play, but it seems like come third quarter or whatever, like the wheels start to fall off. Ty Lue's still figuring out the rotations. Of course, people have talked about should they bring Russ off the bench. I wouldn't mind that at all. I think we talked about in the offseason, we thought that's what would happen. We thought Russ would be the sixth man. Or bringing Harden off the bench. Either way, it doesn't matter, but one of them probably does need to, just in terms of the flow of the game and staggering them. But you're ultimately probably going to have them finishing the game, so they need to figure out the combination of the four guys, because Harden being there has kind of taken away, at least from Kawhi and Paul George, and you want those guys to kind of be your leaders, especially scoring wise. So it's been, it's been rough to see them this first three games with Harden.
It's confusing in that in watching at times it feels like it's almost two teams playing on the court at the same time. Like Harden wanting to play. He has kind of pick and roll style offense, and he has ISO ball that he does. And PG can play a little bit of that too, but he does that with the ball in his hands. When he is the roll man off of that, or whatever the case may be, it's a little different of a dynamic that they haven't quite figured out. But in that, you have Harden wanting to play the style of play that he plays. You also have PG and Kawhi, who could be slasher type, can be ISO, more post play at times, and all of that. And when you have two guys that want to play a certain way versus Harden, who plays the game a different way, them trying to mesh, that they're still trying to find that middle ground. So it's been some growing pains for sure for this squad. It's going to take them some time to get it all worked out. Also, again, we see, I forgot what the other trade was. It might have been another one of the Harden trades, but we saw the impact of them trading away a lot of their defenders. Batum,
Covington.
Batum, Covington, all those type of guys. They lost Plumlee to injury for like a month or so. So losing a big as well in the mix of that is making it real hard for them to operate as they need to on both sides of the ball. You have plenty of guys that should be able to score. But when they can't move around the offense and have it flow as need be to get them to the spots that would usually score, it makes them inefficient as they've been so far. So tough times right now for them. I do still believe, as we just talked about with the Lakers, that we shouldn't go into full panic mode. I think it's early enough with them that there's enough room for them to bounce back, and they may not be a top seed. They're a team that if you get in the playoffs and play versus them, you're going to want to play them for 7 times, wherever the case may be. So, I still think the championship caliber or championship potential is there. They just have to maybe find some more role players that can help balance this thing out properly. Because it's been rough to start, as you said.
Yeah, I think they'll need even more time than the Lakers will, because like they don't have a full training camp. Like Harden just jumped in about a week ago now to this team, so there's gonna definitely be a figuring out stage for them and for Ty Lue. And as you mentioned, we are seeing like the repercussions of trading away some of your wing defenders who are key for you and making them a team that could switch everything and versatile defensively. So trading away some of your key defenders, they brought in PJ Tucker, which is a plus too, but trading away those key defenders and replacing them with Harden, who is a kind of a minus defender, you're gonna see a downtick in your defensive capabilities. So they might be in the market for finding another defensive wing to add to that rotation. And like you said, Plumlee went down, so another big potentially. But yeah, it's definitely going to take them some time as well, and it's hard in a loaded West like we talked about, because you might not have all the time in the world, especially if you're on this losing streak right now. Like you're gonna plummet a bit, and other teams are going to be winning some games, so they got to figure it out quickly.
Yeah, very, very much so. I was thinking about trades and people that were trying to figure things out. I was actually reminded of someone who played with Harden. That was Kyrie. And when Kyrie got traded to the Mavericks last year, it fell apart because they didn't really have any defenders around them. They're trying to figure out the balance of that team and all of that. This is early enough that I don't think it'll be that. I don't think they have to pull the plug on anything just yet. There's a whole season ahead of them that they can still figure it out. But in the same way that the Mavs need to figure out how to get some defenders around them, they need to find they're able to draft them in the offseason. They found the Derek Lively pieces like that.
Yeah,
the Clippers got to find their Derek Lively version of somebody to go be a man in the middle for them. Zubik is good for sure, but just some other pieces beyond that can supplement what was lost in those trades. I know Terrence Mann's been out for a little while, I believe, so getting him back will be a plus. And some others that are on the way. Surely, all help will be appreciated as they put it all together. So
traded KJ Martin too. I was just trying to think because there was other wings there. So yeah, like the guys they retained are good players, but they're smaller guards and they don't really defend very well, like Norman Powell.
That was the interesting thing about the trade too.
That
was the hard thing about the trade, because much as it was appreciated, like this, obviously they tried to put together a roster that would complement who they had as their big three or big two with PG and Kawhi there. Then you trade all those guys away to get Harden, and now Harden can't quite make up for all that was lost in that because he doesn't quite provide on the defensive side what those role players did. So role players matter, man. Much as they always seem expendable, you always want to replace them and go for a star when it seems fit. You realize once those stars get here that they can't always make up for what those role players provided. So we'll see what the Clippers can do to make up for that going forward. And interested to see how it all gets worked out. It's gonna be a fun time in LA with Lakers and Clippers both getting back on track. So good stuff with them. Looking at their schedule, their next games until our next episode: Sunday versus the Grizzlies, Tuesday versus the Nuggets, and then Friday versus the Rockets. How you have those next three going?
I'll say they get back in the win column against the Grizzlies. They lose to the Nuggets, and that last one's a toss up. Right now, just how the Rockets have been playing, I'd favor the Rockets on their win streak. So probably 1 and 2, and with them still figuring things out chemistry wise, that sounds about right. But I think they do beat the Grizzlies.
Yeah, again, sounds about right to me. Looking forward to all that, how that plays out. We tuned into them, seeing how they all gets worked out. Excited for what's on the way with them there. So good stuff. Before we close with that, also again wanted to point out on the mentions at the top. Continue to follow us at LA Sports Report. A lot of fun stuff on the way there. Looking forward to the collaboration with them and what we provide. You see, we got a studio set up there that we're excited to get into more often, and all of the fun things that we do here will be amplified on that stage. So good things there. Good thing with the Clippers on the way, hopefully. And thank you for tuning into this part